Hi, we're here with our latest installment from our public health experts, and today we've got Julie Ingram from Peterborough Public Health. We're going to look at the septic system. So we're here at a final inspection. Julie, thanks for joining us today on the beautiful lake.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Welcome to Pencil Lake, everybody.
Beautiful fall day. So what are we looking at here? We've got a system that looks like the home's just about complete and the system's ready to be finished.
That's right. So they have asked for a final inspection on their septic system. So that's my purpose of being here today, is to complete the final. And what I do at a final inspection is make sure they've installed it according to the Ontario Building Code.
Sure.
And per how we issued the permit, so the requirements of the permit as well. So we're standing on top of the septic tank, which is one of the underground components once this is all backfilled and buried.
Right.
So the sewage leaves the house through the sewer pipe, comes into the septic tank. This tank is in 2 compartments. So it comes into the first compartment where you get some settling of all your sludge and your solids at the bottom, your scums come to the top, and then through the partition, which is about here in the tank, through some holes, then you're going to get it out to the second compartment. Then it's eventually going to leave that, and it's going to go out to the filter bed, which is a series of pipes on top of a bed of stone and filter sand, a specialized material.
That's what they call the leaching bed or the septic bed?
Exactly. Other names are the leaching bed, the tile bed, the leaching field. It can go by a lot of different names. This style in particular is a filter bed today.
Okay. And this is typical material, so this is a concrete tank and the plastic, the PVC pipe, I guess?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So often we'll see concrete tanks. We also see plastic tanks on occasion for more challenging sites. Right. And then it is PVC perforated pipe, minimum 3-inch size. Sometimes you do see the 4-inch as well. Solid piping carrying it from the tank to the bed, and then solid pipe in the header, perforated runs, so they're 3-hole piping so that the sewage can actually get out and down into the disposal.
Great. Well, maybe we'll have another look a little bit further down below, because I think this is where a lot of the treatment happens.
Yeah, exactly. So primary anaerobic treatment. Now we'll go to the aerobic side.
Okay, great. Julie, we are down in the near the filter bed here, and so maybe you can just go through again the components we're looking at here from starting at the house.
Definitely. So you make your sewage in the house. That's where it's all created. Leaves the house and comes out to the septic tank. And then once it goes through its primary treatment in the septic tank, which is oxygen-free or anaerobic, that's where your settling happens. It's going to come out through this solid pipe here into the header pipe. After the header pipe, there's a series of distribution pipes, and that's where the effluent, once it leaves the tank, it's no longer sewage, it's called effluent, goes through the ground, and that's where it gets more treatment. Happens in the air spaces of the soil underneath the stone that you see here.
Right, so the PVC pipe's basically distributing the water through this, through the soil and the filter bed.
Exactly, yeah. So the PVC pipes are carrying it along, and it does still have a lot of pathogens, viruses, bacteria, parasites in the sewage at this time that now need to be removed. So that's what's going to happen through bacterial action and some physical filtration in the soil once the pipes carry it and disperse it down below.
Right, so a lot of the treatment will happen right here, and then of course that's why there's a setback that you require from water in particular.
Exactly.
To make sure there's a big separation between where all the action's happening and the water.
Yeah, that's right, Terry. That's a really important point to make, because we want that required setback to make sure that we're going to have enough distance so that by the time any material from this bed, any of the liquid, gets to a lake, a water course, a well, anything like that, it's going to be treated by that point.
Excellent.
Well, this is a crucial part of my inspection, is to make sure that they've got enough filter sand material down below the pipe and the stone. We want that vertical clearance above bedrock or high water table to make sure that the sewage is actually going to get the treatment it needs. Because if it doesn't, if it hits the bedrock and it's not treated, then it can go right to the lake, risk contamination that way. So making sure their depth is enough is always a really important part of the inspection.
Right, and that's what you're looking for. That's the filter sand that's down below there that's doing all the work?
Yeah, you got it. So filter sand is designed at a certain spec. It has to meet a certain sieve analysis just to give it the exact amount of treatment that it needs.
Right.
And there we go. They've got lots of depth there.
Well, that's great.
I know that their vertical clearance is good.
Excellent. So Julie, we've got the tank open now. Maybe you can explain a couple of the key parts of the tank that we're looking at here.
Yeah, so what you just saw, that's the inlet baffle. The baffle has to be there to stop the mixing of the scum and the sludge layers and just to help with that treatment in the tank. And then once it goes through the first compartment into the second compartment, this little guy here is really unique. This is the effluent filter, and this is part of the maintenance of a sewage system that homeowners often forget about. So the effluent filter will collect any of your suspended solids that maybe don't get filtered out, and more heavy stuff like tampons, condoms, wads of toilet paper, things like that. So it's important to clean this a couple times a year, Terry. You can just take a garden hose, spray it off into the tank, not onto the ground. Make sure you're wearing your personal protective equipment. So make sure you're wearing your eyewear, your gloves, a face mask even, and make sure you wash your hands after doing this. This is active sewage.
Sure.
So once you spray it off, you're gonna put it back in, make sure that arrow is pointing out towards the bed. And away you go.
That's great. And how often would a homeowner have to do that normally?
We recommend a couple of times a year at least, but you're gonna know a little bit better based on your own use and how chalked up it gets with solids.
Sure. So Julie, it looks like your inspection's been done. Everything looks like it's to code and you're happy with it. So now cover it up and we're done. Is that how it works?
I wish that were the case, Terry, but that's not quite true. So one big part of sewage systems that we have to be conscientious of as property owners is that it's our responsibility to operate and maintain the sewage system as it was intended. So things like cleaning your effluent filter, having your septic tank pumped on a regular basis, we recommend every 3 to 5 years. You want to make sure the vicinity of the leaching bed or the filter bed remains clear of trees or deep-rooted bushes. No sheds go over top of it that are going to compact the soils.
No parking.
No parking. Do not drive over your sewage system. That's really important. So, and then, you want to just make sure you're looking for signs that something could be wrong with the system as well. So sometimes you might get sewage breakout to the surface of the ground if the bed's at its capacity. Or you might have an abnormal odor or things like that you want to look for too.
And so not overloading your system is one of the things you want to try and do. That's part of regular maintenance. Putting only the right kinds of things down there in the first place. You got it, yeah. And water conservation, I guess, is important too.
Yeah, water conservation certainly helps the functioning of a sewage system. You do want water going into it so that it is actually being used, but not overloading it is really important. If you've got a really big party at your house or your cottage all of a sudden, that can be really hard on a sewage system. It's not getting the settling time in the tank that it might need, and it can certainly overload the bed. And then avoiding the chemicals like you talked about, some of your harsh cleaners or things like that are really important too. So
good. So once we've had our final inspection and we've got it covered and everything's ready to go, we may not see you again, or will we?
Depends on the jurisdiction that you live in. Some inspectors actually come back to do another final inspection, make sure the bed has been backfilled and that grass is growing over top of it. And in some regions, you might be subject to a septic reinspection program where a regulator could be back every 5 to 10 years. And at that time, we're going to take a look inside your septic tank, make sure you're cleaning your effluent filter, make sure the tank's being pumped, make sure the area of the bed is still in very good condition.
Oh, good. And so record keeping would be important just so you can prove to yourself for your own peace of mind and for an inspector that you've done your maintenance.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Although it's not mandatory at this time under the code, I always emphasize the importance of record keeping. The way I see it, having an approved on-site sewage system is as important as a roof over your head. It's a huge investment. It's a big part of your property. You really want to protect the environment, protect your waterfront, and protect public health as a whole. So that's why it's important to go through the efforts of permits and maintenance and looking at it every couple of months and make sure it's working how it should be.
Sure, and there's lots of information available. I mean, FOCA's got their publications, of course, with lots of tips in it, and I know you rely on the Septic Smart.
One of the guides that the health unit uses is the Septic Smart, exactly. And you can always contact your local regulator, whether that's the health unit or conservation authority or the municipality. And we might have records in the event that you don't know anything about your sewage system either.
Because we talked a lot about new systems, but there's a lot of existing systems, and we may need help with questions about where and how our existing system's working.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Locating your septic tank in order to have it pumped is often a good thing, and there should be a drawing at one of the offices if it was put in within the last 50 years or so.
Right, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.